Well, hello again, and welcome back to Sweet Drumming with me, Seb Sweet. Oh yes, it's very exciting. So, what do we talk about this week? Well, I'm going to start off with something, a question specifically, that my wife asked me. Now, my wife is not musical in any way whatsoever. She has no musical ability. She likes music, she's into music, we collect vinyls together, but she has no idea what goes into it, and she admits this. So when she asked me the other day, how do you do the foot thing? I says, what foot thing? What do you mean, what foot thing? So she says, how do you do all this with your hands, but then also do that with your foot? Anyway, I broke it down. What she's talking about is separation. So, to go into separation, we're talking that the childhood thing of rubbing your tummy, patting your head, that splitting up of your brain, making it do two separate things at once. It's exactly the same thing. So, to a complete beginner who has got no idea how we break it down or how we do it, that's essentially what it's doing. We're breaking our brain apart into separate areas to allow us to perform 2, 3, 4 things at a time, depending on how many limbs you want to use. So, how I always start off, I describe the drum kit in 2 parts. You've got top kit, which is generally everything that you play with your hands up here, and bottom kit, which is anything you play with your feet. So I always say, start off with top kit, right? And start off with a count. Now, I always say, if you can count to 4, you can play the drums. So that's how we start. Always start with your 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Standard bar, standard length, standard count. Good way of doing it, good way of starting. So, right hand, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Straightforward, simple enough. Snare drum, every 2 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. This headphone's coming out, it's annoying. Anyway, so that's how we start it off. That's a good way of starting. It gets you it gets your upper arms moving, it gets you playing the basis of a groove. At this point, we want to start getting that right foot in there. So the bass drum always falls, when you're starting certainly, it always falls on your 1 and your 3 of the bar. So if you're counting it, hi-hat and kick drum, we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's about putting those 2 things together at this point. I also split it up a third way. We just go 2 and 4 and 1 and 3 on the kick and snare. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So now those 3 parts, we now need to start gradually getting together. What I've noticed with a lot of my students is when they start trying to put in the snare or the kick, that their brain wants them to do the same thing. It starts doing this. They start doing this, and then they'll do this. And they'll end up sinking their left hand with up their foot. Now, that's not on purpose. They're trying to separate them. But 9 times out of 10, the brain doesn't want to separate. It wants to do the same thing that everything else is doing. So we need to teach it out of that. So just starting slow and going beat by beat, strike by strike is how I've always started. So, we take that count. What's the first count? It's 1. On the 1, you're hitting the kick drum and the hi-hat. The second count is the and of 1, and that's only hitting the hi-hat. Third count is 2, which is snare drum and hi-hat. The fourth count is the and of 2, which is just hi-hat. And so on and so forth. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So by going over that over and over and over again, repetition, 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 eventually you'll get that separation. You'll start playing. And you'll stop thinking about it. Your brain will get used to it. It will like doing it. It will feel good. There's a physical sensation to doing it. I say the same thing when you start playing offbeat bass drums. Bass drums on the ands, not on the downbeats. There's a physical way that the body moves, which your body doesn't like at first. You have to try to make it get used to it. So if I was to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That offbeat bass drum throws a lot of people off when they start doing it. It's because you're not used to doing that upbeat. It's like leading with your left hand or with your weak hand, no matter which way you do it. It feels weird at first. Just getting people to play crash cymbals and the kick drum at the same time with alternating hands throws people off. Getting those 2 limbs or 3 limbs synced up so they're doing the same thing at the same time, it can take a little time. It can take a little while for it to settle in up here. Once it clicks, it's clicked, and you're very rarely to think about it again. But it takes a little while sometimes. Some people pick it up really quickly. Some people, it can take weeks. It all depends on how much you practice, how much you want it. So there we go. Separation. Starting to play the drums, separating things out into separate limbs, and working out how to make them all work together. Great way of starting to do it. Remember the count. Remember what falls on what count, and just keep at it. So if you are just starting and you are using these videos to learn, 1, I'm very sorry, but 2, there's your starting point. Just keep at it. There is no substitute for practice. You have to practice. It's repetition, repetition, repetition. You're going to get bored to the back teeth of it. I'm bored of playing some beats. But then you start playing the beat well. Then you start playing to the song. That's when it starts getting interesting. Laying into a groove. Look at Phil Rudd from AC/DC. He's had a 40-year career playing the same groove. And it's all about how you play it. Anyone can play that. It's a simple beat. Anyone can play the drums. Playing the drums well is where it starts getting difficult. Laying into that groove and making it feel good, that's where it starts to get interested. That's when personally anyway, that's when I start to get interested in a drum beat. When I can really get my teeth into it and really settle in and push that groove, pull that backbeat. That's why I like beats where you sort of snatch the beat. So like a bass drum on the end of 2. There's something nice about that. There's something nice about playing that punch, that forward punch with the kick drum too early, and having that gap, having that space where nothing happens, for them to resolve it with that snare drum. That's all about groove. That's when you start getting into groove, and when you start putting lots of different drum beats together, you start to hear what it actually is going to sound like as a full piece. So yeah, start off simple, count it, and try and work out how to separate those limbs up, and just have fun is all I can say with that. There's one thing I'd like to address very quickly before I do carry on, and that is the overall quality of these videos. So I am not a technical guy. I don't really do technology. I have no idea really what I'm doing here. It's all guesswork. There's no budget going into this. There's no money for it. So I'm literally using mostly donated equipment, cheap equipment. I've got an old gaming PC that my wife gave me. I've got just very basic stuff. So if anyone has any issues with the sound quality or with just me in general, I know I've got an annoying voice. So don't come at me with that sort of stuff, please. Up to now, I've had no engagement whatsoever, which is fine. If people just want to watch silently, that's absolutely great. But I do encourage you, please get involved. Please message me. Even if you do want to tell me I'm shit, I don't care. You'll notice I am wearing a Rush t-shirt today. They have just announced dates for next year, 2027, and they are coming to the UK. Yes, I will be trying to get tickets. So, dead excited for a bit of Rush. Before anyone says anything, yes, I do approve of Annika Niles. I think she's an amazing drummer. I've seen her live in clinic. She's outstanding. I think she's an absolutely perfect pick. So, there's my 2 cents on the issue. No more said. So, what else do we talk about? We've got a few minutes. We may as well talk about something. Let's discuss and let's have a look at some basic rudiments. So, I want to go into just playing a few different rhythms back to back with each other and getting your head around just knowing how they sound and how they feel and how they fit into a bar. So, we're going to start off with 8th beats. So obviously a quarter, so if your bar's in 4/4, that bar has 4 quarter notes in it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to use the hi-hat to denote my quarter note pulse. I'm just going to give it a little bit more. There we go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So an 8th note is obviously twice that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'm going to focus on single stroke roll, which is just right, left, nice and simple. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Yeah? So nice and straightforward. We get 2 beats for every 1 quarter note. Now, triplets. Triplets have been my favourite thing to do for many, many years now. So it's become a bit of my signature sound. It's just playing triplets over everything, no matter what. And with a triplet, we're getting 3 beats in. I'll stop that. We'll get 3 beats per every quarter note. And what that means when you're playing singles is every other time you're going to lead with your left. So it's going to be. So with the quarter note pulse, we're going to try and get 3 beats for every quarter note pulse. So. Yeah. So the way we count that is instead of 1 and 2 and, which was the 8th note, the triplet is 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. With that quarter note pulse going in there with the accents. Then we can go into 16th notes, which is again, it's like twice what the 8th note was, right? And that's fitting 4 notes in for every quarter beat. And we count that 1 E and A. 1 E and A. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Yeah? So to go from 8ths into triplets into 16ths, we get something that sounds like this. I'll do that again, but this time I'll count it along with you. So, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So there you go. 8th notes into triplets into 16ths. Try them all separately. Remember the count and try and get them all in together. There's a couple of different other things we can do. Triplets in particular, I love a flam triplet, which is a huge, big Mike Portnoy sound. It's something he does a lot. It's something that I found myself doing a lot. I think it's a great sounding fill. So a flam it's essentially 1 hit, but you're using 2 strikes. They're not exactly separate, but they're not exactly together. It's a weird middle ground. So it sounds like this. Hear that again? It's definitely 2 strikes, but it's only 1 note. Now I always play the lighter note with my right hand and the heavier note with my left hand. You can do it the other way, but it never felt comfortable for me. That I always play with the larger stroke as my left hand and the smaller stroke with my right hand. Now to turn that into a triplet fill, we essentially do flam, right, left, flam, right, left. So that becomes a triplet. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Up at speed, we'll get this sort of thing around the kit. Great sound, dead simple, makes all your fills sound so much better than they should do ordinarily. I need to reset this up. Anyway, there you go. So 8ths, triplets, 16ths, flams. You can mess about with them and do all sorts of different combinations, and all of a sudden your drum fills, your solos, they're going to sound so much more interesting. There's other things you can do. There's paradiddles, there's dual paradiddles. We'll have a look at that next time, shall we? In the meantime, I'll play us out with a solo. No double bass pedals today because it's broken. And I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching.